Hey guys, if you haven't already, give the video a like, subscribe to my channel. This is a what if series and I'll be doing more down the road. Plus Ultra!
Hey guys, and welcome to What If Madara Uchiha Was in Akame Got Killed. Now I posted this on my community tab and you guys seem to like the idea, so I figured why not script the idea and tell it into a story, and here's what I think would happen if Madara Uchiha was in the world of this world. Well, in the world of Akame Got Killed, that was a mouthful. Now, this story was supposed to come after What If Naruto was the reincarnation of Kinpachi Zaraki Part 1, but I forgot to put it on my schedule, and I forgot to upload it. So I posted it on my community tab for you guys to see what you guys would think about the idea, and if it was a good topic to talk about, and the majority of you said yes. Now, for the community tab part, every story that I post on the community tab is just to get you guys idea. It's just me reaching out to you guys to see what you guys think about an idea coming from my perspective. Would you guys like to hear my thoughts on it? Would you guys like to hear my take on how this world would play out if this said idea works? And most of the ideas that I have shown you on there is just to get you guys moral opinion of that idea. Anyway, without any further delay, let's get into this awesome story, which I believe that nobody has tackled upon yet. But if you did, I will give you your respect. You have my respect if you tackled upon this idea. But for so far, I just haven't seen a YouTuber who thinks this idea was a good idea to tackle upon. Anyway, we're gonna start off with Madara laying on the ground, lifeless. He can't move as he's finished talking with Hashirama, with the both of them saying, "Let's get a drink in the afterlife." Madara fades away, but he awakes once more. He's swallowing through a void of darkness. It's cold. He can't see anything, but he knows he's swallowing. He thinks to himself, "Is this my punishment?" Silence plays. Was it all a joke? Did everything I tried to achieve turn out to be nothing but a lie? My life started out so fun, so enjoyable, with Hashirama being around. How did it turn out the way it did? How did my life lead me down a path where I turned against my friends, or my friend, my clan, my village, all in hopes for my Eye of the Moon plan, the infinite Tsukuyomi. I turned away from everything only to obtain that plan, to erase a world filled with pain and just have peace. As Madara starts to remember all the playful times he had with Hashirama, he wonders what his life would have been like if he fought for peace in a different way. Madara instantly starts to see his life where he didn't become a traitor. He stayed loyal to Hashirama. He protected the weak, fought for what is right, and he sees a life where he had bonds, he had friends, a family. And Madara sheds tears to this as he sees the final image of that life is him becoming the second Hokage, and him and Hashirama smiling as Hashirama announces him as the second Hokage. Madara then closes his eyes as the tears sparkle away. As Madara is falling for what seemed like days, hours, minutes, seconds, years, millennia, it could have been a long time, then a voice calls out to him and tells him, "Well, if you want this life, if you want to have your redemption, the world that you are going to be reincarnated in is a world where there's a corrupt capital, bloodshed, killing, hatred, pain, loss. This world is on the brink of collapse. But if you want to be that someone who can bring them from the pits of darkness and shed light over this world, then you can have another chance to be someone better than your previous self. As I will send you to this world in hopes that you can bring, or should I say, establish peace throughout this land." And Madara would speak out, "I don't know who you are, but why? Why would you choose someone like me? Why would you give me another chance? What's to say I might not do the same thing I did before?" And this is where the voice would say, "Because some of these characters in this world don't have the accessibilities that they have in your previous universe. They have what is called Imperial arms, and most likely some of the weapons can be strong, while some of the weapons are incredibly weak. You will be sent here, and it's up to you to determine what kind of outcome you want for this world, what kind of outcome you want for yourself, I should say. If this turns out to be a very good deed, there would be a brief pause, silence, as Madara then just says, I will take this offer. I say, I don't have much words, as I never said this to anyone, but my friend, thank you for giving me another chance. As Madara would say this, the light of that hole that he's seen would instantly envelop him, and then he would open his eyes as a 5-year-old boy in a world, in a village, and it would look no different to when he was little. He'll be in his same garments when he was little, and he would say, Am I back in those times again? No, this can't be, because this feels different. This feels way different. As Madara has, well, he can't remember anything from the previous Naruto world. All he knows is the void, and that he was falling, and that he was talking to someone, but for any other memories, he can't even remember. Now, let's get back into it, because I'm trailing off topic. Now, Madara would be there as a 5-year-old boy with all his battle experience, jutsu ability, along with his Sharingan and the Rinnegan being the trump card. Madara grows up with Letsu, Seiyu, and Tatsumi. All three kids often play together, with Madara often showing the 3 new jutsus he's mastered. As the years goes by, Tatsumi and Letsu would have become very skilled in taijutsu, especially Tatsumi, resembling Might Guy's fighter spirit. Also due to his training with Madara too. Both Tatsumi and Letsu picked up the 8th Gates technique. And this is going to be more like a technique somewhat similar to how the Kaioken is a technique. It's somewhat like that. But it's not going to have like the chakra factor to it, where you open these gates of chakra and stuff like that. It's just going to have this technique like that. And plus I like the gates, so why not give it to 2 characters who didn't have much development in their story, and most of all was mainly weak throughout the whole series anyway. Now, the both of them would have picked up this technique, but Tatsumi would have had good intelligence for how the technique how it works throughout the body, meaning Tatsumi was training extra hard to master at least 7 gates. With all his training, and Letsu was able to open at least 4 gates. He wasn't so energetic like Tatsumi because he didn't strive for a goal. Even though he wanted to gain money to save his village and stuff like that, he didn't have that necessarily goal or stuff like that. And as far as money, yeah, the village would still need money and stuff like that, but Madara would mostly be helping out with all this. Now, just a little further indication, as throughout Madara's childhood with his friends Letsu, Tatsumi, and Seiyu, they've all been training very hard and very eagerly together in order to protect their friends, their loved ones, from impending dangers, such as bandits, danger beasts, and the Empire's Imperial Guard. Knowing them that they want to just conquer any village or just kill any village if they don't cooperate with the Emperor's rule. Now, Madara smiles to this, and this is where he tells Tatsumi, Seiyu, and Letsu that this is the battle experience they need. This is the battle experience that we need to become strong fighters in the near future. We're gonna protect this village, and this village will be called the Nozomu Village, or the Village Hidden in Hope, as we are here to provide hope for people, refuge for people, people who seek shelter or have nowhere else to go. We have a heart for them, a warming heart for them, as this village is mostly desired to bring peace on this land. And this would be like a 6 to 7 year old Madara Uchiha. Now, as the bandits would come, Seiyu, Letsu would handle most of them, and this would be the earliest stages with Letsu only opening one of his gates, and Seiyu being very, very, very skilled in kicking. That's all she does is kick. She doesn't do anything else but kick, and I'll get into explaining that when we get back into the story. Now Tatsumi and Ieyasu they are very skilled in taijutsu. But if some of you don't know what taijutsu means, it's just another word for hand-to-hand combat. Now Seiyu would have been a healer, and that explains much about her style, like why she doesn't want to use her hands, because her hands are meant for healing people. And she's a very talented healer, being very intelligent on how the human body works. Seiyu loves taekwondo in combat. She only uses her legs, something like a Sanji or Chun-Li from Street Fighter. They spend time training with each other, hunting for the village, and protecting their loved ones, like I said before, from bandits, the Imperial Guards, and danger beasts. Madara is a very intelligent boy. All four of them are intelligent in their respective category, but Madara was something like no other child, being able to take down 20 armed soldiers, 4 S-rank danger beasts, and let's say squads of it would be 5 from here and 10 from there, just able to take down these grown ass men and women, a part of these Imperial Guard armies, bandits, and danger beasts. And his friends were no exception to that. His friends were no exception to his power or anything. They amounted for that kind of power too, as any other bandits or villains or Imperial Guard would get hit from their left flank by Tatsumi's dynamic entry, as his kick was strong enough to shatter a person's rib cage. Tatsumi was no slouch, as he spent his life training only to just the goal of just becoming stronger. That's his goal. He wants to become stronger and not fight strong people. He just wants to test out his powers and basically just outsurpass Madara. Madara sees Tatsumi as a potential rival for him. And Madara and Tatsumi would be mostly sparring with each other and everything. Now, Letsu has that Kakashi-like vibe where he's laid back, but he's a silent, strong type. He often trains too, and he trains mostly on his own techniques, such as stealth techniques and basically camouflage technique, but he mostly focuses on techniques that are more accustomed to his style, more of a Kakashi way of thinking. And Seiyu, like I said before, she's a healer and stuff like that, so anyway. The Empire would send soldiers to kill the people a part of the Nozomu village, or the village hidden in hope, whichever one you wanted to use. These soldiers would range from 20 through 50 through 100 through maybe even 1,000. This was that serious. And with no hesitation, Madara, Tatsumi, Seiyu, and Letsu would confront them all and kill each and every one of the Imperial forces. They would earn the name the Syndicate. And some of the people in the Imperial Guard, bandits, and even strike fear into not danger beasts. I ain't even gonna say that because those are just mindless beasts. But it will strike fear into the Imperial Army, bandits, or anybody who wants to come close to this village, unless you're insane and wants to die and have a death wish. Now, as the years go by, Madara, Tatsumi, Letsu, and Seiyu would have become very skilled fighters. Madara having fully mastered the Sharingan, along with some ninjutsu techniques, such being the fire style, majestic destroyer flame. With this jutsu, Madara is able to shoot out a sea of flames. And the fireball jutsu, Kirin, that whole lightning style attack, Chidori, stuff like that. He has a variety of jutsus in his arsenal. Now Tatsumi and Madara would set off for their journey to find Night Raid. Letsu and Seiyu stays to help the village, and help the Nozomu village. Now, I'm gonna have Letsu and Seiyu stay, but they're gonna be very accustomed to how the story goes on when I release episode after episode after episode. Those are 2 key components to this story. You keep that in mind. There are 2 key components to this story, because I wouldn't give them that much development if I'm not gonna use them. All right. Now, I'm going to have them stay because you're going to need somebody to protect the village. As if they get, word gets out that they hear that Madara and Tatsumi, 2 of their strongest assets are gone. I mean, not like Seiyu and Letsu are no slouch. I mean, those 2 are pretty strong. But the 2 of them versus anyone else, even Tatsumi, Letsu, and Seiyu, even the villagers there, Madara's father and mother, and would even tell you that Madara is an exception and is the reason that they are feared. He is literally the reason that they are fear. If it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have gotten this far. So they can admit that. Now, as we continue back to the story, sorry if I'm getting off track. Madara and Tatsumi set off for their journey to find Night Raid, while Letsu and Seiyu stays to help the village. Now, the Nozomu village would have been half as big as the Leaf village. Just thought I should give that detail. Anyway, as Madara and Tatsumi would set off their journey, before Madara would go, he would place up barriers around the village just for extra protection. And that's it. So they would set off for their journey. And Madara and Tatsumi would have ran into a danger beast, with Tatsumi yelling out, "Not even a challenge," as he did a dynamic entry as the beast went flying back. The travelers would have been shocked at the strength of this guy. With one kick, he sent the giant beast flying. Tatsumi then sends out 10 powerful punches that kills the beast as if it falls on the ground. Tatsumi yells out the power of youth as he laughs. The Madara just shakes his head, but he smiles as his friend did get very strong over the years. And their battles do get intense when they do fight against each other. The travelers thanks them, and Madara asks if they know where they can find a group called Night Raid. One of the travelers told them to journey to the capital. You might run into one of them, because they're always looking for information about the corruption in the capital. Madara looks at the man and says, "How do you know that?" Well, they have these flyers up at Night Raid, and mostly some of them just comes in there. You often see a lot of weird people, but I suggest some of them might be Night Raid just looking for information about the capital or how to overthrow them. Anyway, you guys have a nice day and thank you. Now, Madara would tell the man thank you too, and they continue on to their journey only to arrive at the capital. Now, as they start to look around and get accustomed to everything, they don't want to cause any suspicion. Now, the capital knows what Madara and Tatsumi look like, so Madara and Tatsumi are not in their regular. So let's just get this right out the window before I continue on. And I'm sorry if I'm trailing off, but Madara wouldn't have the attire he has in the photo that you see here. He would have something similar to his like attire when he fought Hashirama in the Final Valley. That'll be his attire as walking around. Now, Tatsumi would have on something similar to how Guy had on, like not the green tracksuit and the green vest. Yeah, he would have that. He just wouldn't have the fucking hairstyle, the ugly ass hairstyle. Anyway. And they would have had masks on, something similar to how Obito had, but they would have had the mask on to keep their identity sealed. Now, it would be something. Now, Madara would have something like the Obito mask, the orange mask with two holes in them, and the other one, Tatsumi would have just like a cat mask from the Ambu, something like an Ambu mask. Anyway, so they would bump into Leone, and this is where Madara would say, and I guess that guy was right. I can tell she's from Night Raid. Leone would look at Madara and she would get into attack mode as her cover has been blown and she doesn't want to start a fight right here. So she instantly just like flickers away, like runs away out of the village just to get distance if these two are gonna chase her. Now they're easily keeping up with Leone, very, very, very easily. Now, as they're keeping up with her, Madara instantly appears right in front of Leone, tripping her up and pinning her to the ground, and tells her to stop running as we're not here to play cat and mouse. This is not a chase. We just want to ask a question. We mean no harm. Madara just sits her up and just waves his hands, saying we mean no harm. You don't need to be on alert with us. We're not working for the Imperial Army or whatever you think. Leone would still be in defense mode because she didn't say anything, and Madara just goes to explain. My name's Madara Uchiha and this is Tatsumi. We're looking for a group called Night Raid because we want to join these guys. They have a plan to overthrow all the corruption in the capital, and I basically align with that kind of dream as I want to obtain peace. I want there to be peace everywhere throughout this land so that families, children could have can walk the streets at night, can be safe. Me and my village, well, the Nozomu village. And this is where Leone would perk up. She said, the Nozomu village? Wait, you guys are the syndicate? And Madara would say, yes, that is us. While two of my friends are back protecting the village because we needed someone to stay behind just in case the village, is attacked. Leone would be energetic. She would be so happy to see the syndicate as she was one who was a big fan of them. She liked their work. She liked what they stood for and what they were trying to achieve. The syndicate, well, in Madara's opinion, was not a name that he came up with. That was something the Imperial Army has labeled them as they don't see themselves as no syndicate. They just see themselves as protecting the weak, standing up for them when they can't fight for themselves. Now, Madara would tell Leone, does she know anything about Night Raid? And she says she's due, while she instantly takes not like Tatsumi and Madara back to the Night Raid base. This is where Madara and Tatsumi would confront every last one of the Night Raid members. And they would go into that whole meeting room with Nagenta sitting down saying, oh, so who was these two? We brought back two new recruits, and she was saying, not just any recruits, Nagenta. These two guys are the Syndicate, and the other two are in the Nozamu village. They want to join us. And Nagenta would be shocked as a person of Madara's skill and a person of Tatsumi's skill. They heard of these two. Even the She-Devil and the calculative genius being Letsu and Seiyu. They heard of these guys, and Nagenta would be shocked that the two of the strongest ones want to join their team. Now, all of the Night Raid members would come in with Mai just scoffing, and Tatsumi, he's just energetic, and he says, "Yes, the power." Now, he's not talking like Mike Guy, but he's more energetic, and he just says it like his normal attitude and says, "Yes, I got a lot of energy, and I just want to just release all this energy and do something good for once, as most of the years we just been in a village and just fighting bandits, danger beasts, and the Imperial Guard." But Nagenta would be shocked. So, you were the guy. Do you guys know that Esdef was looking for you? Madara would speak. "Oh yeah, I know about this whole General Esdef. She could never find us because I always concealed our village. I always made sure that whenever I would use my illusion style jutsu to basically trick her into seeing nothing but clear land, as to if she had the wrong coordination. As back then, I don't even think I could have been strong enough to fight against her, even with my childlike body. She just had too much experience. Well, not too much experience. I wouldn't say that. I would just say that Madara as a child, he didn't want to battle, as he could have easily, let's just say this, Madara could have easily taken Esdef. He could have easily engaged in battle with Esdef, but Madara knows himself that would have created a lot of casualties, which he was not aiming for. Having a battle with Esdef would have created a lot of casualties and a lot of destruction, which he doesn't want that. He doesn't want that, so he avoided that, and he did something that he wanted to create was an illusion style jutsu. Kind of came up with the idea of mixing, like doing something similar to how a desert does, when like he mixed heat vision, like he made heat vision, like creating hot and mixing that to create an illusion style jutsu. It's hard to explain, but you get what I mean, don't you? Anyway, let's continue. Now, the group of Night Raid instantly introduces themselves. Bullock introduces himself, Lubbock, but most of them are basically skeptical about these people, such as Mine and Akame. Now, they're mostly skeptical about these two, and while Akame won't accept them as Night Raid members yet. And Madara will to look at them and say, "Why won't you accept us as Night Raid members? I mean, we basically just told you that we are on the side of good." And this is where Akame would have to say, "Well, prove it to me. I don't know your skill. I don't know what you're capable of doing, so show me." Madara would say, "Very well." This is where Tatsumi would say, "Oh yes, a fight! Okay, which one of you guys do I get to fight? How about you, big guy?" And Bullock would say, What, me?" And this is where all of them would go outside. Now, Akame would escort them outside, and Bullock would have swinging his spear around, and Tatsumi would just be stretching his legs and basically cracking his neck and bending his fingers back to crack his knuckles and stuff like that. Now, Tatsumi looks at Lubbock, and he tells Bullock to basically go all out. Do not hold back against me, as I will not hold back against you. Now you see this bluish, greenish energy just start flowing off of Tatsumi as his skin turns red. And this is where Madara would say, to Bullock, "You better get serious." As Tats, that Madara would say that, "You better get serious," as Tatsumi is not one to hold back. Sorry for that interruption there. And this is where Bullock would transform into his Incursio armor, not holding anything back, as he wanted to just use the spear against Tatsumi, but what Madara just said sent chills down his spine as he looked into Madara's eyes, and he knew that he wasn't lying. Now Madara would tell them that it's better for him to know each and every one of your abilities, and he wants to know what everyone's capable of. So this will be a battle, you all versus me and Tatsumi. How will it go? Let's see what you all are capable of. Now, Akame would rush at Madara, swinging her sword around, and this is a life or death battle. Madara told her to come at him with the intention to kill. Now, he's dodging her sword very effectively, left, right, ducking under her sword, and he would hit her with combination attacks, such as a fist to the stomach, an uppercut to the jaw, a kick to the side, a trip, a swept kick, and trapped her up, kicking the sword out of her hand and putting a kunai to her throat, saying, "You're down. You're out." Now, Akame would be shocked at Madara's skill as he rushes to Lubbock. Now, Lubbock would throw his razor wires at Madara, with him easily dodging them, grabbing the razor wires, and igniting them in flames, saying, "Fire style." And the wires would incinerate, like shoot flames right towards Lubbock. And Lubbock is wondering why the wires are not cutting through Madara. As Madara said, "I coated my hands with chakra, so you won't be able to do that. When I do that, my hands are so durable that not even these petty wires could cut through them." Lubbock would be kicked to the ground, and he is out with a kunai to his throat, saying, "You're down." Now, this is where Leone and Madara would get into a scuffle, and Leone is proving to be very good and stuff like that, but it's just Madara's speed, his awareness, his dodging abilities, like he's predicting her attacks before they even happen. And Madara would basically pin her to the ground with a kunai to her throat and tell her that you need to train more. And this is where Shield would come out and try to cut Madara in half, with him easily dodging that. Similar to how when the guy tried to reach up out of the ground and grab Madara's feet, he easily jumps up, dodges her whole attack, and kicks her right into the face. Her dropping her weapon and like crashing into a wall. Now Nagenta would jump in and try to use her attacks as well, but she would get instantly pinned to the ground by Tatsumi yelling out, "Dynamic entry." Well, suplex dynamic entry. And this is where Tatsumi kicked Bullock in the stomach, and he flies into Nagenta, and the both of them knock each other out due to the collision of both of their bodies smashing into each other. Now Tatsumi would look at the rest of Night Raid. The only one that would be left is mine with her pumpkin gun, and this is where her legs would be shaking, and she would feel fear. I mean, she would be scared. I mean, this is the only weapon she has. I mean, she's not skilled in any other combat areas or something like this. I mean, this is all she used because she's mostly a sniper. And Madara just walks up casually to her. And this is where Tatsumi just puts his hand out in front of Madara, and he tells her, "Come on, be easy. Can you see her legs? She's basically scared." But she uses this to shoot the pumpkin blast, because the more she's in danger, the stronger the blast. So she shoots the pumpkin blast at Madara and Tatsumi, with both of them dodging it very easily, or just catching them off guard only ever so little. Now, this is where Madara would tell Tatsumi that your carelessness almost got them hit. And Madara would be just rubbing the back of his head, saying, "Yeah, sorry about that." This is where Madara would appear right into mine, kicking her right into Tatsumi, who slammed her right into the ground. And all the Night Raid members would be on the ground. Now Madara would tell them their flaws and their weaknesses. Now your one flaw is that you're basically heavily reliant on your weapons when you're not skilled in any other right. The only one that I can see that had given anyone a good battle was Bullock against Tatsumi, as he was going very toe-to-toe with him, as he is skilled in taijutsu and, well, his imperial arms, I should say. They would ask what taijutsu is, and Madara would just say it's another word for hand-to-hand combat. Now Madara apologizes for the brief encounter, but this is where he tells them that his skills and Tatsumi and the other two, if you thought we were a beast, if you thought we were dangerous, you should see the other two. We still have two more allies in our village who are can heavily outclass any one of you. I can see that all of you heavily need training, especially these two. And he would be pointing at Lubbock and Mine. And this is where Mine would get defensive and saying, what do you mean I need training? And this is where Madara would say, because you're too heavily reliant on that weapon of yours. What happens if they disarm you? What can you do then? And she would say, that won't ever happen. I won't let nobody do that. I won't let anybody take my weapon from me. And he says, oh, really? Okay, then. This is where he says, Tatsumi, I want you to basically go against Mine. And I want to see what can she do in this situation right here. Use your speed. And Tatsumi would say, okay, number one, overkill. Number two, I will just use my main regular speed, Madara, because if I use that, I'm just going to make her look way more stupider than she already is. Because in a simple motion, with me just doing this, Tatsumi would appear right in front of Mine and snatch the pumpkin weapon right out of her hand, throwing it to the ground and kicking her dead in the stomach. And she fell into the ground. She fell down. Now, Mine would be looking at Tatsumi, and Tatsumi would be looking at her with just a straight face. Now, Madara would say, it is easy as that. Without your weapon, you could basically be killed on that spot. It's nothing you could do. It's better to have backup. Now, this is what I say. When I say it's better to have backup, what if your teammates aren't there? What if you're alone? What if they're on another mission and you had to handle this mission alone and your weapon was took from you? Do you really think you have enough strength to fight against them? Now, Madara would be telling the team this as Mine stood up and she looked at Madara and she would just say, well, she would accept. She wouldn't get fussy or stuff like that. She would just accept and she would be talking to them, and most of the Night Raid members would get up. Akame, she now accepts Madara because she knows what he's capable of, and she says, I had to see it for myself. The Syndicate are some strong people. And Madara would just say, it's just four of us, but we aren't strong just because we get this power handed it to us. We trained, which most of you need to train. It's always good to hone your skills, to make sure you can get stronger, to know what you're capable of. As I can tell, Bullock here trains very, very, very often. Now we do a time skip to the whole team of Night Raid basically training with Tatsumi and Madara. Now, most of these characters with each other would be getting very accustomed with each other, getting to know one another, getting to know what they're capable of, and also getting to know what each individual has up their sleeve. Now, as training, Bullock and Tatsumi instantly start going hand-to-hand combat, because Bullock has a lot to learn about the hand-to-hand combat of Tatsumi's, and Tatsumi has a lot to learn from Bullock, as Bullock has beaten Tatsumi once, and Tatsumi has beaten Bullock countless times, but only that one time has proven that Bullock is getting very stronger than his canon counterpart. Now, as these two are doing more training, Bullock instantly pushes Tatsumi to a point to where Tatsumi had to use Hiradora. Now, this is where Bullock would transform into another form of the Incursio armor, which I have to search up. I don't know. Let's say this right, because I'm going to put that into there. It's going to be two forms of the Incursio armor. Now, Bullock would have the gold armor at first, and this would push Tatsumi to using Hiradora. Now, Madara hasn't seen that attack in a while, and mostly Tatsumi used that attack to wipe out at least 564 of the Imperial Guard's men. He used that attack because they were getting heavily outmatched. It's just four of them, and Tatsumi came up with an idea to use a tiger-like attack and throw it at the Imperial Guard's army. And this is where Madara and them, like that whole flashback, Madara would use the whole smoke screen with him creating a fire style, like some kind of fire style ash flame, and this would create a whole bunch of ash in the area, creating a smoke screen to which Madara can exploit and wipe out a bunch of their men. Now, this would catch a lot of people's attention, and negative attention, such as Esdev, the Minister, the Emperor, Bulls, all that. It would catch a lot of people's attention, and people would know who the Syndicate is throughout the whole Empire. While Esdev smiles as she can't wait to kill each and every one of them to prove that they're nothing but cattle. They're nothing but weaklings. she wants to make the lead character her pet. She wants to make Madara Uchiha her pet. As she's holding the guy up by the chain and he starts to lick her shoe and he kicks him in the, no. She's holding the guy up by the chain and she kicks him in the jaw. Well, kicks him in the face, revealing blood to be all on the ground. I don't know what she did. You guys can tell me in the comments, but yeah, that happens. And this is where we cut back to Madara being, well, training with the Night Raid. Now Nagenta would give Tatsumi and Madara their first mission, their first assigned mission, and this would be to kill the head leader, Ogre. Now Tatsumi, it would be nightfall, and Tatsumi and, well, Madara would be basically walking through the village, basically getting all their quirks right, and just basically hunting down Ogre. Now Madara would come out of nowhere, and in his just regular outfit, in his regular, like, he had on his, like, let's say his first outfit, because he didn't have his armor plated outfit yet. He's not gonna wear that yet. It's gonna be something more dramatic to when he dons that armor. Now Madara looks at Ogre and he tells him, prepare yourself to fight. And Ogre instantly looks behind him while Tatsumi is behind him. Tatsumi has a straight face and he gets into his fighter stance and Madara gets into his. Ogre then tells them to carry on, as I have no time to play with children. As Madara instantly rushes Ogre and punches him dead in the stomach with Ogre coughing up blood. This followed by a kick to the head from Tatsumi's foot saying dynamic entry. Ogre grabs the two boys and throws them into the wall and basically jumps away as Madara instantly is above him and kicks him right down to the ground, creating a huge crater. Tatsumi follows up with a huge, strong punch. You see this greenish blue energy flowing over Tatsumi's fist, and he punches straight into Ogre, punching a hole in his chest as Tatsumi cuts off Ogre's head and Madara burns his body to ash. They stick his head on a spike. And this is an idea I got from somebody. I don't know where I got this from, but I read it. I give you full credit. But they stick his head on some kind of spike. And Madara tells Tatsumi that, well, in ways of how the Imperial Army does their things, they do stuff as gruesome as this. As I can't stand the sickening thought of having to do something like this or having to resort to something like this. But basically what this is doing, Tatsumi cuts Madara off. I know. It's just sending a message. Anyway, can we go get something to eat? I'm hungry. As they both just walk off, and that's it. They walk back to Night Raid to greet them, and Akame basically inspects Madara's body as well as Tatsumi's body, undressing both of them, and both of them are shocked and blushes across their face as Akame smiles, but most of the girls in there blushes to the fact that Tatsumi and Madara are extremely fucking ripped. I mean, you looking at them, they're not beefy, I'm not gonna say they're beefcakes or something like that, but they're just extremely fucking ripped. No homo intended. Anyway, so as Madara and Tatsumi are putting back on their clothes and stuff like that, they instantly make food. Well, Tatsumi goes in the kitchen to make food with them, and he instantly starts talking to Akame and tells him that she would be heavily in contest with his friend Seiyo, as she's an excellent cook as well as a healer. She knows the correct foods to nourish the human body, as well as good, delicious meals. She's an excellent cook, and this is where he even would say that a person like Letsu would have been a good strategist on his team, as that's one smart guy he's known all his life. Madara just be outside basically training or just relaxing as he's finished training and he's finished doing new jutsus, as he's wondering how to do, well, basically absorb nature. Madara's just been in this crisscross position for a while now, because he needs to get stronger. He needs to have more access to power, and Madara just gets in a crisscross position and he starts to absorb nature. He starts to absorb energy around him. He starts to feel the flow of energy, the birds, the chirping of sounds and everything. He starts to feel all of that. He starts to feel how to absorb it. And you see these markings across Madara's face, and his eyes turn yellow. Madara has just now entered Sage mode. And being a genius like Madara, a smart strategist like Madara, yeah, I'm gonna get just not that whole face on his chest or something like that, because that's nasty and look ugly. I'm just gonna give Madara Sage Mode in this one, cause why not? Why the fuck not? Anyway, I hope you guys. Sorry, I had to swallow that. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Please tell me how you thought of it. Give me your details in the comments below. And if you want a part 2, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Get them likes up there, and I will release a part 2 in the near future. Anyway, without any further ado, you guys have a good day, a good night, and plus ultra. Good night, guys.